Pocket VERT in my hand, a retro handheld for enthusiasts. So today, let's explore together and discover whether a handheld gaming console like this one is truly as good as it claims to be. The front of this handheld gaming console features a single, uninterrupted glass panel. The tactile quality of this glass is exceptionally good. Though the upper section's bezels on all four sides seem quite substantial, it would likely enhance its aesthetic appeal if the screen were slightly enlarged and the bezels slimmed down a bit more. And then below, you have this unengraved design. There are no markings on any side of the D-pad, and even the ABXY buttons are transparent, without any etched letters. These three buttons at the bottom also have that same clear look. However, what bugs me a bit is that the left and right buttons aren't symmetrical. One's horizontal, the other is vertical. It's a slight OCD trigger, though it might help you distinguish them by feel without looking. Now let's turn our attention to the device's body material. This body material you'll find is quite impressive. It's crafted from CNC aluminum alloy, providing a significantly superior overall texture and premium feel when compared to plastic. The previous generation's DMG machine used plastic, which drew a lot of criticism, with many saying it should have been metal. Our VERT really took that feedback on board, directly integrating a metal frame, and the unibody CNC machined one at that. On the left side of the device, there are two custom buttons. The top one, by default, is for quick multitask switching. Double pressing it allows us to quickly switch between games. And this scroll wheel here is also a customizable button, super convenient. Normally it controls volume, but a long press switches it to function mode. Okay, let's look at the right side now. The layout there is actually quite similar to the left. Above are two custom buttons, not volume controls. In the center, a charging light. Below, a fingerprint power button. Yes, it has fingerprint recognition. Below is a TF card slot. Expandable memory is very handy. It has 128 gigabytes or 256 gigabytes internal storage, which is usually enough unless you download tons of games. And the bottom is packed with features, including dual speakers. From my perspective, this speaker's sound quality is excellent, on par with flagship phones, definitely above average. Plus, it has a 3.5mm headphone jack, incredibly useful for any earphones you'd like to plug in. There's also a microphone and a reversible Type-C charging port. Then, on the top part, we have this metallic air vent. Flipping it over to the back, you can clearly see its air intake, which is notably large. However, the chosen color for the back is black. While I believe this would be quite harmonious on a black version of the device, with this white version, the black accent here appears a bit out of place and jarring. Below this air intake are our shoulder buttons and the battery. This protruding part probably houses our large 6000 mAh battery, so the battery life is pretty impressive. And up top are the shoulder buttons. All four shoulder buttons have this semi-transparent design. Plus, the box includes another set of shoulder buttons that you can swap out. There's another set that has a bit of texture to increase friction, which might give it a better feel. They're all detachable, which is pretty convenient. Since it is a gaming console, the true measure of its worth is how well it plays games, wouldn't you agree? This machine supports most emulators, and since it's an Android handheld console, it can support whatever you want. But I'd recommend playing retro games like GBA, SFC, or FC, because their screen ratio perfectly fits this device's 4:3 aspect ratio. Regarding the 4:3 aspect ratio, I found the screen resolution is precisely 10 times the GB resolution. The pixel-perfect display feels good. Performance-wise, it features a Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 Plus, incredibly potent for a stock Android handheld. Let me show you. This is God of War on PSP. I just muted the sound. CPU usage hovers around 20%, and GPU usage is at 60 to 70%. Total power consumption is about 3 to 3.7 watts. So the fluctuations are minimal and it's quite low. Let's play normally and you can see the power usage, even if we use it for this. It can run Genshin Impact with absolute ease, and honestly, it can handle any mobile game. However, I must admit, playing mobile games on it isn't quite as comfortable since the screen is still rather small. But there's one really interesting thing. Below there's a touchpad. It appears blank, but it truly is a touchpad. When selecting games, you get a swift and satisfying game selection experience. It's quite good. This actually simulates having two joysticks. There's a convenient button right here that allows us to simply tap and designate this as either the left joystick, the right joystick, or even divide the entire touchscreen into two separate sections, effectively creating both a left and a right joystick simultaneously. Allow me to demonstrate. We're currently playing God of War on a PSP. Let me show you just how responsive it is. Overall, it's quite responsive and easy to handle. I'd say controlling the joystick using the touchpad feels pretty agile and precise. So how about this device? Using the touchpad to control the joystick? Well, the feel is just mediocre, honestly. It definitely can't beat physical joysticks, but it's not unusable. You can certainly play with it. Since it has only one joystick, it's pretty convenient. If you had to use two joysticks, swiping on the glass here for both would be a bit abstract, to be honest. A single joystick is more appropriate. This device is just about the pinnacle for playing PS4 games. Since its screen isn't very large, it's perfect for these types of games. Alright, let's play this GBA game again. I'm currently playing Pokemon, and with the 8:7 scaling ratio, it pretty much fills the entire screen, which I think is quite good. The overall clarity is impressive. Let's play for a bit. Playing GBA games uses very little power, just 2.5 watts for the whole device. CPU usage is 30%, GPU is 4%, and the fan only needs 1000 RPM. Even with the fan off, I think the heat dissipation is sufficient. Okay, let's wrap this up. This machine overall feels similar to Ambinic's DMG, but the build quality seems slightly better. Because it uses this CNC all-metal frame and this integrated glass cover on the front, I think the overall texture and feel is more premium. But pricing-wise, I think it'll be a bit cheaper. Honestly, even if this device were a bit cheaper, its overall price point is still quite high. I personally believe it's best for those with a budget who want to buy it purely for fun, like a collectible toy. You really need to approach it with that kind of mindset, or else, for the same money, you could easily get much stronger devices, such as the Retroid Pocket Flip. A horizontal Android handheld with a large screen, strong performance, great feel, and high cost effectiveness. This vertical handheld's purpose likely leans purely into nostalgia. People simply love this form factor, don't they? I just love this form factor, and I want something with this form factor that also has strong performance. So it's quite suitable, right? Its touchpad controls, for example, can compensate for some of the joystick's limitations. Additionally, unlike other handhelds, it doesn't attempt to squeeze in two joysticks, which in my opinion, doesn't look as aesthetically pleasing. A true vertical handheld like this simply doesn't need a joystick. Without one, it looks much cleaner and more streamlined. This machine does have a certain toy-like quality. It's the kind of thing where if you feel it's worth it, you'll buy it, and the experience won't disappoint. If you don't think it's worth it, no one's forcing you to buy it. Just go straight out, turn left, and grab the Retroid Pocket Flip. That device will be a better fit and more appealing to you.